Good evening, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Indian Express Group, a very warm welcome to the inaugural edition of Express Awards for Women Entrepreneurs, an initiative of Financial Express and FICCI Ladies Organization FLOW with Ernst & Young as knowledge partner. The awards will celebrate excellence and outstanding achievements by India's leading women entrepreneurs, whose innovative approach and clutter-breaking ideas have created positive changes in the business and social ecosystem in India. Moving a step further from empowerment, the platform looks to acknowledge and enable women leaders and achievers who have opened up new opportunities for themselves and for others. Financial Express has always essayed a leadership role in raising pertinent issues across industry verticals. The publication takes great pride in playing the role of a facilitator and encouraging debate and discussion amongst its various stakeholder communities in order to drive meaningful change. Towards this, we introduce another thought-provoking forum from Financial Express. FICCI Ladies Organization FLOW, the women's wing of the Apex Chamber, Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, was founded in the year 1983 and is the oldest women's business chamber in Southeast Asia. FICCI FLOW represents over 8,000 women entrepreneurs and professionals across 18 chapters nationally and impacts the lives of thousands every year through its work. FLOW works aggressively towards promoting economic empowerment and equal opportunities for women across sectors and verticals of the economy for a truly inclusive economic growth trajectory. We would like to thank our event partners for their association, presenting partner Kotak, supported by partner UN Global Compact Network India and knowledge partner Ernst & Young. Now may I request Shobna Subramanian, Deputy Managing Editor of Financial Express, to please share the opening note with us.
I welcome you all to the first edition of the Express Awards for Women Entrepreneurs. This is a joint initiative of Financial Express and FICCI FLOW. And the objective of these awards is to recognize the achievements of businesswomen who have done something different and made a success of it. We are sure they will be an inspiration to many others looking to create an enterprise. Luckily for them, the startup ecosystem in India today is a vibrant one. If you have a sound idea, there is abundant capital to back it. The jury has worked very hard to pick the winners, and we thank them for having taken time off their busy schedules to pick these winners. We have an interesting show lined up for you today, including a conversation with Sheryl Sandberg, COO, Meta. So sit back, thank you for being here, and enjoy the evening.
Thank you, Shobna. Ladies and gentlemen, now may I request Ujjwala Singhania, President FICCI Ladies Organization, to please share the introductory note with us.
Very warm welcome to everyone. It's my honor and privilege to address the inaugural session of the Express Award for Women Entrepreneurs today. Express Award is a collaborative initiative between two organizations, Financial Express and FICCI FLOW, both with the common goal of recognizing and celebrating the achievement of women entrepreneurs whose innovative approach have created positive changes in business and social ecosystem in India. Thank you, Anand Goenka, for this collaboration. FLOW, the women's wing of FICCI, is one of the oldest business chamber with 18 chapters pan-India and over 8,000 women entrepreneurs and professionals as its members. Our focus is on empowering women by facilitating an enabling environment that promotes entrepreneurship, industry participation, and economic development of women. We would like to welcome our keynote speaker, Ms. Sheryl Sandberg, Chief Operating Officer of Meta Platform today. At a time when COVID-19 has disrupted the world, the Express Award has come at an opportune time to recognize women achievers who have not just survived a world that has changed forever, but have demonstrated inspirational courage, vision, achievements that has opened up new opportunities for themselves and others. The winners of the Express Award represent extraordinary achievements across several sectors. The awardees have been vetted by a jury of most respected corporate veterans, such as Mr. Deepak Parekh, Ms. Zia Mody, Ms. Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, Ms. Arundhati Bhattacharya, and Ms. Preetha Reddy. My sincere thanks to each one of you. Thank you, Malu Natarajan, Flow GB members, for taking this Express Award forward. To conclude, I would like to quote none other than Sheryl Sandberg herself. Leadership is about making others feel better as a result of your presence and making sure the impact lasts in your absence. On this note, I would like to welcome you all to join me today in congratulating and applauding each of these leaders. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, Ms. Singhania. Now may I request Sheryl Sandberg and Anand Goenka to join us for the inaugural session. Over to you.
Sheryl Sandberg, very warm welcome to the Indian Express Group. There couldn't have been a better opening of the inaugural Express FICCI Flow Awards for Women Entrepreneurship than you. So thank you so much for making the time and being here. I'll just get right to it. And I wanted to start specifically with your book, Lean In. You know, it's been almost 8 years since you wrote it. George Floyd happened, Me Too happened, COVID happened. If you were to write Lean In all over again today, how much of the book or the central thesis would you change?
Well, let me start by saying thank you for having me. It is precisely organizations like yours and leaders like you having meetings like this that make a difference. So let's start there by saying this is what's going right. Express Awards for Women Entrepreneurs, you're recognizing women who are blazing trails for their community, and you're doing it with all of the heft of the Indian Express behind it. So I'm just grateful to be here. So I wrote Lean In 2015. And when I wrote the book, I was a tech exec. I didn't really know if anyone would read it. And the first version of the book was all research. I thought it was fabulous. There was 5 pages on a matrilineal tribe and how characteristics we normally ascribe to women or ascribe to men. There were 6 pages on a video game study that showed that if you do an experiment with college students playing video games, if the women think they're watched, they shoot fewer targets than the men. But if they think they're not watched, they shoot more.
Wow.
Anyway, I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
My husband, Dave, at the time, and my editor and my book agent, they read it. I wrote the first third. They were like, this book sucks. No one is going to read it. So what I did, they said, you have to put your story into it. So I did, because I wanted people to read it. But I think by virtue of having my story, it read too much as if it was women like me, white women from California in tech. Now, in all the international editions, right, I had a local female business leader write a forward, and I think that made a difference. But if I had to write it again, right, I would have put so many more stories in. But the good news is that my foundation did that. So by the time the book was coming out, I realized I wished I had made it broader because people might actually read this thing, and then they did. And so I launched my foundation. And right on the website was hundreds of stories from women from all countries and races and backgrounds and ages and industries. And we started Lean In circles. And our goal was to have 1,000 women in circles. And what we ended up with, right now, today, we have over 58,000 circles. Sorry, we wanted 1,000 circles. We have over 58,000 circles.
Wonderful.
All over the world, including circles thriving in India.
That's wonderful. I think, specifically, if I can get to the pandemic, because I think that has been, that has really been a setback for women in the workplace. I think one of your own surveys showed that 25% of women are considering downshifting or leaving work due to just burnout. So if you can spend a minute specifically on the impact the pandemic has had on the Lean In, just on women in the workplace.
Yeah, look, COVID is a health crisis. It's an economic crisis, and it's a gender equality crisis. Now, before COVID, women all over the world, women in the United States, women in India, were working a double shift. Those who are working outside their homes work outside their homes, and then they come home and they do the great majority of the housework and the childcare. Yeah. That's a double shift. Well, then COVID happened, and now we're at a double shift, which is elderly parents to take care of, illness, kids home from school, kids who have to quarantine because they get an exposure, even though now schools are open in many parts of the world, not everywhere. And so we are seeing women, and my foundation was one of the first to survey to say, we're going to drop out of the workforce. And they are. Right. Women's workforce participation in the United States is reaching levels we haven't seen, low levels, not high levels, reaching depths that we haven't seen in decades.
Right.
And that means we are going to wipe out, decades of progress. You asked me what's different about when I wrote the book. Well, I'll tell you what's not different anywhere in the world is women are still not getting close to our share of leadership roles. It's 5 to 7% of the top CEO roles at the top countries in the world, like the US. That has not changed. And COVID is not helping.
So, I know, we're talking in 2021, and it's almost funny to ask this, but I really think it's important that I ask you, can you offer a reminder to all of us, to the HR manager, to the employer, of a 8 million to 12 million US dollar turnover company, small organizations who are really struggling, and they're really trying to cut costs and just kind of make business feasible. Can you just remind all of us, the importance of insisting on diversity and having women well represented in their organizations?
Absolutely. I mean, we've said for a long time that we should have diversity. People in leadership of different backgrounds, different genders, females, women, people of different races, because it's the right thing to do. And it is. But the message I would take to businesses is it's also the smart thing to do. Here's what we know. Teams that are more diverse perform better. They outperform their peers at every level. And from an individual point of view, if you're, let's say a man in this case, a man entering the workforce and you're the CEO, you're going to do better if your teams do better. But what people miss is that's true for everyone. If you are the most entry-level employee and you can work better with half the population, if you add race into that, it's usually more than half the population, you're going to outperform. So it's in the company's interest, but it's in your individual interest to hire, to promote, to have a diverse management team.
Whenever people think about India, and whenever I travel abroad, people always talk about our demographic dividend and just how young our population is. So Cheryl, I want to share with you that, all statistics tend to show that there have never been as many women in college in India as there are today. And there are certain subjects where there are more women than men, in college as well. So what advice would you give these women who, they're graduating out of college, out of an Indian college, they step out of college and they see a glass ceiling? What is the advice you'd give them?
Okay. The most important advice I have to women in college, in India, but everywhere in the world is don't leave before you leave. And I want to explain what I mean. I'm going to ask you a question. When you were choosing to go into your field, did anyone ever say to you, you shouldn't become a journalist, you shouldn't go to the Indian Express because don't you want kids? No. Anyone ever say that to you? Of course not. You're a man. Do you know how many people have said to me at different stages, not anymore since I'm 52, but at different stages, are you sure you want to do that?
Right.
When men enter the workforce, we tell them to go for it. When women enter the workforce, we say, you can't have it all. And has anyone ever said to you, you can't have it all? Of course not. Because what have it all means is a job and a family. But most women do actually have to work and they have jobs and families. And so telling women they can't do something they're going to have to do is cruel and leads to the situation we're in. When I say to women, lean in, this is how I came up with the phrase, lean in, go into the workforce striving for the top. And then at any point, if you want to have kids, if you want to take a step back, if you can afford to, great, I fully support that. But don't go in holding back because you know what's going to happen? You're competing with some guy, you're starting here together. Yeah. He's not holding back. You're holding back.
Right.
Fast forward 10 years when you have a family or however many years it is.
Right.
You're working for him.
Right.
He's higher paid. He's making the decisions on when you meet. If you were actually, he's working for you. You can afford childcare and stay in the workforce. You just give yourself options. Lean in has never meant stay in the workforce and go for the top for everyone.
Yeah.
It just means don't hold yourself back and then make decisions from a position of strength. So to every young woman out there, you can have it all.
Right.
Go for it and then give yourself more flexibility.
So my wife had a book club, and I called one of her friends in the book club who read your book when it came out. The one question that came to me from my wife's book club that was very interesting was the question of privilege. The fact, she lives in India, in Mumbai as well, but she said, I can lean in and I can go to the workplace because I have the privilege of being able to hire some other woman who doesn't have that privilege to take care of my child while I am in the workplace. So the idea that there is a certain financial privilege which gives an upper hand to leaning in, how would you respond to that?
I mean, what happens to a lot of women is they hold back and they wind up working the same hours for less pay, less responsibility, less impact, and less flexibility.
Right.
I say to people, do you want to be CEO? A lot of men say yes. Most women say no. Well, why don't you want to be CEO? Because I want to have a family. And then I say, okay, if you have a meeting with your CEO, whose schedule sets that meeting? I have probably more flexibility than I would have if I were more junior.
Right.
Mark has the most flexibility. Guess whose calendar sets mine? Mark's. Guess whose calendar? And that doesn't mean that he's not considerate of my calendar. He is. And I'm very considerate, I hope, of the people who work for me. But as you get more senior, you get paid more.
Yeah.
You have more control. You can have more impact. And so the idea that you don't want to go for it in order to have flexibility, I think is exactly the wrong idea.
Right. Sheryl, when you joined Facebook, you were considered the most powerful woman in tech, arguably the most powerful woman in business. 10 years later, you're still the most powerful woman in tech and still the most powerful woman in business. Is there a glass ceiling that Silicon Valley has, which is tough to break?
I mean, look, in the highest countries like the United States, women have 7% of the top jobs. Women are 50% of the population, and women are getting more than 50% of the college degrees almost everywhere in the world.
Right.
So there's only two choices. Either men are vastly more talented than women, or there's systematic bias, discrimination, barriers that women face, a la a glass ceiling. I think it's the latter. I think it's hard to argue, right? So I don't think it's controversial or even worth arguing whether there's not challenges faced by women, not faced by men. There are, full stop. Now, yes, there's a glass ceiling, but the thing that my foundation, Lean In, we've really focused on is even before we get to that glass ceiling, there's a broken rung, and it is that first promotion to manager. Okay. So men are promoted and hired based on their potential. Women have to prove it. Now, that means that where do women fall out? That first promotion to manager. Why? Because you can't prove you're a manager until you do it. So if you're going to promote someone based on potential, you'll promote a man. So more men than women are getting promoted to manager. So the inequity starts a few years out of college. But once it's uneven, it continues to be uneven. And so, yes, there's too much of a glass ceiling, but there's also a broken rung, and it is that first broken rung to manager that we need to fix. And again, hats off to you for having this conversation with so many people.
The kind of public scrutiny that Meta is going through, it's unprecedented all over the world. I don't know any corporate that has kind of seen this kind of just this kind of glare. And the controversies, around Facebook's role in misinformation, hate speech, hostility to women and marginalized groups. First question is, how do you see all this scrutiny playing out? And the second question is, do you think your position and your personal credibility, both men and women idolize you, especially in Silicon Valley. Your personal credibility as this rare woman leader in big tech, does that help Meta emerge stronger from all this public scrutiny?
I don't know if my personal credibility helps, but I'll tell you what I do know is that we have a responsibility to get things right. Mark has a responsibility. I have a responsibility. And I sit here today knowing how much we've invested to make sure the good happens on our platform and not the bad. If you go back 5 years ago, I would say there were a lot of things that really caught us by surprise. Cambridge Analytica,
right?
Russian interference in the election, hate speech on the platform. We were not prepared as we should have been, but that's 5 years old. I sit here today, we are the leaders. We invest the most. We are the best at these things. Now, it's still never perfect. There are over 3 billion people on this platform, which means you're going to have all the good of humanity and all the bad. But our job, and I show up every day and I should be held responsible for it, is to maximize that good and minimize that bad. And what we see all over the world is people, and so many people in India, using Facebook to share, to connect. During COVID, it's never been more important than being able to make that connection when you can't be with people in person. And small businesses have had to make a digital shift. When things shut down, they had to reach their customers online. We offer all of those tools for free. And I think we're the largest platform for small businesses all over the world. And so our goal, and I do it every day, and I should be held to doing it every day, is to let that good happen and minimize the bad.
Superb. Okay, I'm gonna do this rapid fire thing. I've given some time to it. Your biggest inspiration?
My mom.
I have to ask
My
why.
mom. Yeah, because she's the most giving person I know. She's my inspiration as a mother. And as a businesswoman, my grandmother.
Okay.
My grandmother, who grew up in a time where if she had been born 50 years later, she would have run the world. Okay. But she wasn't really allowed to work. She was pulled out, her family was very poor. She was pulled out of school when she was a young child to clean homes and make money for the family. A teacher went to her parents and said, you got to get that girl back into school. And she got all the way through college. And then she didn't technically work, but when my grandfather's business was failing, she stepped in and saved it.
That one thing you have learned from India or from women in India specifically?
Oh my God. I've spent so much time in India. I started my career in India working at the World Bank. I then opened up Google's offices in India, opened up Facebook's offices in India. So I certainly don't know it the way you do and your audience does, but I do feel like I've worked there more and spent more time there than certainly most Americans. And I am so inspired by the people of India, but I'm also deeply inspired by the women. I mentioned before, we have over 58,000 lean-in circles in 189 countries. We have almost 2,000 lean-in circles in India. And I have just heard so many stories. I'll share just one. Yeah. There's a woman named Spurti. She's a network leader with Ling in Bangalore. And in her community during COVID, so many women were resigning. And so she led an initiative to bring these women back to work. And this is what's incredible. She reached out to the husbands of these women and their family members to connect them to other people, to show them how important it was to help out so their wives, their daughters, their sisters could return back to work. And almost all the women who left the workplace in her circles are now back in. That is inspiring.
Sheryl, my son is 2 years old. At what age would you advise my wife and I give him his own smartphone?
Oh my God, not at 2. I mean, look, to get on our services at 13.
Yeah.
I think there are some very safe products out there, you know, where you can let kids start learning how to use technology. Right. I tried to teach my kids to code when they were super young, 5, 6, 7, programs like Scratch that are really easy. That I would certainly do.
The next big innovation out of the Facebook campus that you are most excited about?
The metaverse.
Okay.
I mean, it's just a whole new level of a whole new world that we are going to be able to communicate, share, connect, transact in a way we've never done before.
Sheryl, if you were tasked to rebuild the internet ground up, what's the one thing you'd change about it?
I would have built in the safety precautions that we built earlier.
Okay.
I mean, if I could wave a magic wand, I would get rid of every bad thing that happens on the internet and every good thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's possible.
If you were tasked to rebuild Meta ground up today, what's the one thing you'd change about it?
I think I would have helped us grow internationally more quickly. I think we're still playing catch up.
And if you were to write Lean In again today, in a short answer, what's the one thing you'd change about the book?
I would put more stories in. When I wrote my second book, Option B, my first book, Lean In, was really 2/3 the data, 1/3 my story. So it didn't have enough of a flavor, which we then tried to address with the second edition and the foundation. But Option B was 1/3 the data, 1/3 my story, and 1/3 so many other stories from all over the world. And I think that worked better. People don't remember data, they remember the stories. You need the stories of diverse voices.
If you were to write that book 15 years later again, is there one thing you wouldn't change?
Oh, a lot of things. The core message that we will be a better world if women get more leadership roles. I mean, look, countries run by women in the early stages did better in the pandemic and had lower death rates. If you ever needed proof that women should run more countries and companies, there it is. Yeah. Not that we needed that, but we have it.
One of your life's deepest regrets?
My husband died of what is a preventable disease, which is cardiovascular disease. Right. You know, if I knew then what I know now, you know, if he had been on a statin for a decade, he'd probably be alive today. I mean, nothing else comes close to that regret.
Right. Sheryl, do you have a Finsta account?
I do not.
Okay.
But I know many people that do.
Sheryl, destiny or free will?
Free will.
Work from home or work from office?
Combo. Turns out to be great to do some of both.
And my last question, Sheryl, education or experience? If you had to pick one, what's more important?
I want to say both, but I'll go with education.
Before I say bye, if I can just ask you to just make one kind of comment to the winners of the Vicky Flow Awards for Women Entrepreneurs.
Okay, to every single one of you, congratulations, because you are leading and building and producing and creating change. And to everyone who didn't win the award, but still competed for it, congratulations to you too, all the work you're doing. And Anand, congratulations to you for hosting this and caring so much.
Thank you so much, Sheryl. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheryl and Anand, for this valuable discussion. Moving forward, I would like to invite Roshan Pavea, editor, financialexpress.com, for the welcome note for our grand jury. Over to you, Roshan.
Hello and welcome to the grand jury meet for the Express Awards for Women Entrepreneurs, or ExpressAWE as we like to call it. It's an initiative of Financial Express and Vicky Flow, and we have our knowledge partners with us, EY India. This is a grand jury chaired by some of the most prominent names in corporate India and some of the entrepreneurs who have been part of corporate India. And so without much ado, I'm going to just introduce the grand jury to you. The jury chair is none other than Deepak Parekh, who's the chairman of HDFC. We also have Preetha Reddy, who's the vice chairperson of Apollo Hospitals. We have Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, who's the chairperson of Biocon. Zia Mody, co-founder and managing partner of AZB Partners. And Arundhati Bhattacharya, chairperson and CEO of Salesforce India. So this is our grand jury who's going to be evaluating all the entries that we've got for this ExpressAWE Awards of Women Entrepreneurs in India. And without taking much more time, I'm just going to hand it over to the grand jury to take this forward.
It's good to have friends at this jury. So as I mentioned, I think everyone knows everyone and the task becomes much simpler. So I thought I will go the 4 questions. I'll go first with Arundhati being A. How are you seeing the landscape changing?
Having a name that starts with A and a surname that starts with B always puts me in the hotspot right in the beginning. So, most of my interviews in my life, I've been the first person going in. And as you know, if you're the first person going in, you get the most grilling. But hopefully that will not be the case with such other great contributors over here. But if you look at the atmosphere and if you look at the changes that are coming in, I think, the change is not very swift, but it is certain. In the sense that, if you look at the startup world today, you will find quite a number of women who are actually, forging out on their own. They all may not be doing something which is very different or very tech-centered or, something that is a very differentiated ideas, but you are seeing many more young women, set up their own businesses, set up, for instance, I know a very young group of girls who have set up clinics, so the fact of the matter is that places where you never used to see women, you are beginning to see them. Not only that, the reliance that, capital providers used to have, which was very, what should I say? There was an unconscious bias when it came to giving money to women or capital to women. You are seeing that slowly eroding, and there is better trust on women who come up with the kind of ideas that really appeal. and therefore, their access to capital has increased. However, I think what has not decreased hugely is the kind of help that you need from your near and dear ones, in the sense that the woman's role as a primary caregiver still is a given. That is, in fact, one of the reasons why many of them are turning entrepreneurs, because they cannot leave the home and yet they want to do something which will enable them to, do both of their duties at the same time without having to leave home. In a way, it's good. In a way, it's limiting. The second thing that I think, that I observe is that women still don't have that confidence of, barging ahead and saying that I can do this in the same manner as you see it amongst the male gender. And the reason for that is, and I was just talking about it before this, that you will not find women putting up their hands unless they feel that they're 100% ready. So, that taking that leap of faith, I think women are still behind. They still need to be pushed. They still need to be guided. They need to be sort of, given that confidence that there are people behind them. But over and above all of this, what really strikes me is that the number of women in a room full of, entrepreneurs, when you bring them in, certainly the number of women has gone up, not as much as I would have liked, but it has gone.
Okay, thank you. I'll go next, being D. So I'm going to talk a little on the landscape which has changed in India. The entrepreneurial landscape in India is currently very, very exciting. We have the third largest ecosystem for startups. And over the last 5 years, there's been 9 times increase in the number of investors and 7 times increase in the funding. So startups are getting their due share of funding and mentoring and everything. There are 82 unicorns in India today, and that they have received about $40 billion of funding.
Of which 40 are in Bangalore.
40 are in Bangalore, are they?
Yep.
Okay. Then most of the unicorns are in Bangalore.
Yep. Very vibrant system. One unicorn a week is the norm now.
Yeah, and 40 is the initial investment. The market value of those listed is gone sky high. You cannot even estimate. Take the last quarter, the startups have received over 11 billion in one quarter. So I think the climate is clearly isn't a better time than now to be an entrepreneur in India. And I would like to believe that a rising tide lifts all boats. So it's a good time to ensure that many women entrepreneurs are able to get the much needed support. As Arundhati said, we must make access to both debt and equity more to women entrepreneurs. A much needed platform like the FICCI Flow is truly living up to its motto of the power to empower women. And also it is established that diversity brings in better outcomes. Yet the reality is not very good to hear. That only 7 out of 100 entrepreneurs in India are women. Now, that 7 out of 100 number has to change, and we need to do everything within our might to ensure that this number increases rapidly. The pandemic again has been harsher on women than men, which is why even in the labor force, female labor participation rate in the country has fallen. If you read some reports, it's an all-time low, women participation because of Corona. Now I will go to Kiran.
So, I have been around in the entrepreneurial ecosystem for over 4 decades, and I can certainly see a huge change, I would say, in the last 5 or 6 years when it comes to women. Because for a long time, I think, as Arundhati rightly claimed, I think the biggest challenge for women entrepreneurs has been access to capital. They simply do not get a fair hearing when it comes to any of the investors or even the bankers or anyone who need to help women get started. So I can see that in the last 5 to 6 years, there is a perceptible change because there's this big focus on gender inclusion. There is this huge effort to focus on enabling women entrepreneurship in various quarters. So I think that has helped a lot. But more than anything else, I think the tech sector actually has taken advantage of all these, enablements. And I, for one, find that at least in the life sciences sector, of course, we've had a lot of women entrepreneurs. Of course, Preetha here, of course, represents a great example of how her father has actually entrusted his legacy to his 4 daughters, which I think is amazing. So I think the recognition that women no longer have to feel that they cannot be inheritors of any business is now coming to be accepted as something which should not be looked at that way. So women have a role to play, and I think things are getting better for women. But of course, to me, the way I judge entrepreneurs, because I know what I've gone through, entrepreneurship is about building credibility, is about gaining acceptance, is about being perceived as a risk taker, and is about being able to raise capital in a credible way. So I think all these are the metrics I use to really look at how women are succeeding. And in many of these cases, I now find that young women who are trying to start up their own businesses are getting to be quite confident of, trying to raise capital. If you hear their business models, they're quite interesting. Some of them are highly risky, but they're willing to take it. And they are persevering.
To follow Kiran, having said that, I shouldn't complain because I think, we started working simply because we didn't want dad to work so hard, didn't go to business school, but said, let's work with him. And thank God for the opportunity we've had. It's been good. The landscape is moving. We have the bold and we have the beautiful. We have the Miss Universes, absolutely beautiful Indian women. And we have the bold, which is, the Falguni, Leena Nayar, and a whole lot of absolutely bold women trying to make a difference. So I think the landscape is definitely getting better. And the lines are merging between, gender equality. We do have only 20% of organizations which are really, women-centric, women-strong, represented. So if you look at the opportunity, we still have, that 80% left, which is an opportunity for us for the future landscape. But my example is a bit different. We understand, we know, we realize that India actually lives a lot in the rural areas. While a lot of this, what is happening, the excitement, the money, the valuation, everything is urban, it's in the cities. There are some examples which in the rural areas are making a difference. And I'm going to give you our own example that, we've adopted 100,000 people from where my dad comes. It is a CSR exercise. But what we're seeing of late is that the women in the village have become so entrepreneurial that they are able to actually take home 15 to 20,000 rupees. It may not seem much, but it's empowered them so much that the level of alcoholism in the villages has gone down, because now they call the shots and they can actually say, listen, this is not good. We've been screening for cancer, tobacco chewing, big problem, head and neck cancers. We've seen incidences of that coming down. And the total health of this has been happening over a period of 7 years to be exact. The total health indices has gone up. And all this is because, the women have a livelihood because, they're doing tailoring, there are multiple skilling areas which they've been working on. And we have over 4,000 women employed in different areas. So I think this is a completely different aspect to the startup, the cool, the exciting ecosystem. But this is also a parallel track, which I think is, going to make a huge difference in the landscape. And I think this model, in fact, we had Harvard to do a study of this. and try to see how we can replicate it not only within the Indian ecosystem, but even in countries like Africa. Similar problems, rural Malaysia, similar problems. So I think all the governments are looking at it. So from a changing landscape point of view, I think it's really exciting that on one side we have the unicorns, we have totally empowered women who are not only beautiful but becoming bold. But on the other side, we have rural India waking up. We have, entrepreneurship happening, maybe small, but it can be a movement. It can be a network. So to me, that's what is exciting.
Yeah.
I think that, as women, we still have a long way to go. The successes are being celebrated well. So that's good because it always inspires a lot of other women. But if you still look at the data, 48% of our women form part of our leaky pipeline. They drop out. And so I think the real ability for us to create more women entrepreneurs and women in the tier 2, 3, 4 cities is to find some way as how to provide them the infrastructure that they need so that they can get on with being successful business women. Whether it is technology or apps or social infrastructure, that has always vexed me because even in a law firm where women are so well paid, their reluctance to try and straddle both roles needs a lot of handholding, a lot of counseling. And so I think that's where really the pain point is for improvement. The real issue, as all of us have been saying, is that, there's a difference. It's Venus and Mars, and there's a reason why it's called Venus and Mars. We are just different in our DNA. We're more diffident. We want to be 100% perfect before we walk into a room. I don't think that's going to change. So we just need to have an ecosystem that allows women to take that chance, allows women to straddle both roles, allows women to reduce the amount of guilt that they feel in their daily lives. And one other thing that I see as an issue, and I'm not sure I have the solution, is the scalability when it comes to all the initiatives by women. I think the women on this panel are the exception. We've all had our reasons why we've been able to be successful. But I think the scalability, the giving up has to be stopped. And how do we do that as employers, as people outside the employment who encourage the employers? I think that is something that I'm very focused on. And ultimately, education. Nothing will succeed like education. If you can't hold up half the sky, you can't run as fast. And so the focus on that is really to celebrate successes in the education space.
What advice to women entrepreneurs at this juncture you would give?
I say then stay the course, don't give up, create your infrastructure.
I think it's definitely to stay the course because they're in an environment which is so much better than it was even five years ago. And we're seeing success. We are seeing them being able to be funded much better, much faster. They do need to get their presentations better. They are reticent to come forward. But having said that, I think the environment is just so much better for them. So I would say just be bold, stay the course, because they are in a very good space, very good time right now.
Kiran?
Your time has come. Don't miss the opportunity.
Right. Okay. I would say that I agree with Kiran that, the message to all women entrepreneurs and potential women entrepreneurs, I want to reiterate that the world is looking at India very, very favorably today. And India is a compelling growth story, poised for rapid growth, consumption, urbanization, digitization, and income levels are also rising. And we are a young demographics, and that's our strength. And something which I think none of you would have noticed, recently in November 2021, the population data revealed that there are more women now in India than men.
Oh,
and
very
it
good.
is 1020 to 1000. This is something which I saw in one of the papers in November last month. So the message is clear. We need more women entrepreneurs who can cater to women consumers. So my basic advice is simple. Don't shy away to ask for help. Be a prudent risk taker. Don't get intimidated by fund managers and their jargon. And they need you more than you need them. Don't let your talent go untapped. Things like that. Seek out mentors and keep building your network.
So I think, what I would like to say is step out of your comfort zone. You have got to push yourself out. Nobody's going to do it for you. You've got to push yourself out of your comfort zone. And as for, people looking at India, the world is looking at India now, not only for other things, but also for talent. And, if you look at the fact that Anshula is now the CFO of the World Bank, if you look at the fact that Leena Nair is taking over as the head of Chanel, if you look at all of that, these are all international search firms that have gone around and tried and located these people, okay? So the world is looking for talent into India as well. And this is really the time has come. One thing used to, really surprise me, Deepak, and you will relate to this, that, when it came to small borrowers, that is rural borrowers, we were far more confident about women. Okay. Yeah. If women were taking the loan, we would actually, if women were co-borrowers, we would actually give it to them at a lower rate of interest. Yeah. I've done that myself in the bank. However, when it came to bigger loans, all the unconscious biases kicked in. Okay. I really and truly hope that we are able to cross that barrier. And if we realize that women are better repayers at the lower level, they can't suddenly become different when they are at a higher level. Yeah. That bias, I think, is something that is unconscious, but we have to really consciously work on removing it.
Yeah, Arundhati, you're absolutely right. When we have a default in our home loans, when we send our collection people to their homes, we are much more successful than when we send them to the office or factories.
Absolutely.
It's a fact. Come and take out some money from somewhere and pay us.
That's actually true. In fact, for our tractor loans, which had a 46% NPA, we said that you bring your spouse as a co-borrower, we reduce it by 0.5%. And you bring your spouse's ornaments as well, we'll give it to you at 2% less. And believe me, the NPAs there are almost nil. Whereas otherwise, if you just gave it to the male borrower, it was as high as 46%. So, women are far better repayers that way, far more responsible with money.
I think if women are given an opportunity to provide services to various corporate, industry, corporates, I think that would be a nice way of, seeing women entrepreneurship take up, in a big way in many of these service sector kind of entrepreneurial activities. Then, of course, really the only industry that really needs to focus on doing better is the investment sector. If the banking and investment sectors, like what you people had just mentioned, can actually be far more equitable in terms of the way it provides capital to women entrepreneurs, I think that can make a big difference. So those are my 2-bit comments.
Preetha?
Deepak, one, of course, is funding for women. I think, just like the government used to support the IT or tourism and multiple industries which are blossoming now, we probably would need like a 5-year, 10-year window to, really encourage women entrepreneurship. And I think that will be a great investment for the future. The second issue which I'm seeing, and I stumbled on it sometimes even in our own organization, which is headed by women, is that the pay parity in in senior hiring, that sometimes the tendency from HR is to be okay with women being paid less for similar roles. The hours put in and all that. So I think there's some underlying fact or a thought process in people's minds that women can actually be paid less. And I think we need to get rid of that because it is an area of concern and we need to figure that out and straighten it out. I don't have a great solution, but I'm just reflagging this as an issue which I think all corporates, all organizations have to be very conscious about.
Yeah.
Very quickly, Deepak, I think that, what industry can do, everybody has said. I think the real issue is very few women leave college and start a startup. They all go through a job, many of them. And I think that is where we can help them do a couple of things. Build up confidence, give them a sense of self-respect, have middle managers given KRAs on why women are not being retained. If women have started 20 women in your team at the start of the year, how many left at the end of the year? Why have they left? What could you have done better? Straight financial impact on your KRAs. That completely helps the male middle manager to get it. Once the woman is allowed to climb up to a certain scale, she's much more ready to branch out. Next is have formal programs where you have male champions of change. Australia has that, right? It is definitely still male members who are bosses. 80 to 90% of our world is male bosses. How do you make sure that they embrace the fact that they need to change the mindset, as you rightly said, in relation of women? And then not forgetting that the ESG gig is here to stay. And ESG means diversity. So going up the global chain, getting global acceptability, getting better valuation, all feeds into this. So I think you have to start by ensuring the women who work for you are confident enough to start their own journey with your blessing.
Thank you. Now the last one, what can be done from policy perspective, the role of government as an enabler? Zia, you can start.
I don't know much on this, Deepak. You would know more. But I think from what I understand, women who serve in government have a lot of safety nets and benefits that we are not alive to. I recently discovered a few years ago, Arundhati would know, maybe it doesn't apply to a PSU, but in government, you can take during your career 2 years off anytime. You can choose, whether it's for your child's education or childbirth or marriage or whatever. It's 2 years, which is a long time. There are also a lot of other initiatives that are hidden, as I understand. And so the real agenda, if I was government, would be to splash it out there, to say this is what we are doing. And then to enable a system where women can access all these initiatives easily. Otherwise, it's a black hole. You just say we're doing great, but you don't know how to get part of that.
Preetha?
Deepak, I think a lot is being done by the government, but I would be excited if there was a deeper focus into rural India. Rural India, the urban certain pockets, because there the empowerment is still lacking. There should be some kind of incentivization for those women. It may be smaller amounts, but I think it will again become a large amount if you aggregate it all together. So I would think a concentrated focus on what to support rural development, small scale industries, those kind of things would be as good as supporting startups and, the big ones also.
Yeah, so I think the government is doing a lot. In fact, quite a lot of women-centric policies have been, enunciated even in the startup area. I think that, at least in the life sciences sector, I know that, BIRAC has done a lot for women entrepreneurs in the biotech. And I also know that there are a number of women-centric incubators that have also been supported by the government. So government is doing a lot. Maybe we need to see more incubators than just the sort of token 1 or 2 that there are. I think it would be nice to see more of these women-centric incubators that really focus on entrepreneurial leadership development, because I think we need that. We need to see, we need some kind of way of training or educating women to become true entrepreneurs. And that can be done in incubators is what I feel. And finally, I think I agree with Preetha that I think, making sure that they focus a lot on setting up incubators, entrepreneurial or startup incubators of various types in tier 2, tier 3 and rural kind of areas would actually make a big difference to getting women into the economic mainstream.
Yeah. No, I also have the same thing that Zia started with, that the government has a strong recognition that women entrepreneurship is an important untapped source of economic growth. And in government organizations and government departments, there's a lot of benefits that women get, like affordable childcare or mobile creche, and much more leave if they want, as she said, 2 years. But you also need to commend the government on its maternity leave policies. Again, maternity leave policies of the government are much more favorable than any advanced countries. Yeah. So in the private sector, we as the private sector must ensure that we at least match, if not improve, what the government is giving to our women employees, our women folks. Government also has a Startup India program which is focused especially on startup policies for women entrepreneurs. So time and again, women have proved over and over again that gender apart, there are many success stories.
Is that if each of you, veteran entrepreneurs, if you were to start all over again, if you were to start a venture today, what would you do differently? If there was one or two things you would want to pick out and say that this is what I would do differently. Maybe in reverse, Mazia, if you could start.
I don't think I would have done anything differently. I've done just what I want to do.
The way the ecosystem is there, because if you remember the time when you started out, you were the lone person actually. It was completely male dominated. Today there are so many other women as well. So don't you think the ecosystem in your field particularly has changed significantly? Won't that have given you the initial time spent in just learning the ropes? I mean, you used to spend a lot of time knowing the judge. Today you could do different things, isn't it, with the same time? I mean, is there anything else you would do? No.
Time is still the enemy. And as far as I'm concerned, I pride myself that we have a much higher percentage of women as partners than any other law firm. And that is really the test for me. Everybody starts with 60% women in their first years. But who ends up with the most amount of partners as women? That is the way you retain as an organization. So if you're asking me what I've done more than I would have done earlier in my earlier years, I do a lot more marriage counseling. But other than that, I think, just to inspire women to stay with the passion, not to give up, not to give up, not to give up. Just try and say it's possible, it's possible. What do you want? What do you need? How do you want to stay on? It's all about conversations, that's all.
Okay, Ms. Preetha, what would you have done differently?
I think I would have, I like the bold bit. I would have expanded more, honestly. Might have been a bit more daring earlier, but having said that, I can't complain. There is still time to do so much more. So I could have been a bit bolder earlier.
Okay, a bit bolder earlier. Dr. Kiran, what would you have done differently?
Certainly, I would do my business very differently to what I was doing in the past. And that is really about understanding technology better and understanding how technology is helping you to get to your consumer, which in our case is the patient and the prescriber, and the kind of healthcare ecosystem much more effectively is really the question. And of course, you keep looking at new technologies that help your sector better. So going forward, obviously, I believe technology is going to be very integral to the way we build our businesses. So that's what I think I would do differently going forward.
Ms. Bhattacharya, this point which others have said, to this? How would you have done differently? There is this component, while as Ms. Zia pointed out about digital surge that is there today, there is also the problem of imposter syndrome in management. They talk about, women feeling inadequate despite evident success. So that environment has also changed. So wouldn't you have done anything differently?
If I was 22 years old today, I wouldn't have been working for somebody. I'd have been working for myself. Okay. So that's the main thing, because the rest of the women over here are really entrepreneurs. I'm not. All right. But I did get a chance, or rather a taste, of setting up businesses when I was in the bank. So I set up 3 or 4 new businesses. And frankly, I enjoyed the experience hugely. And, had it been, as I said, if I had been 22 years old now, things would definitely have been different. But if I go back to when I started, I don't think I had a choice. So, I tried to do what best I could within the given circumstances. And the only thing that I have to tell the people today, that is today's women, is that this is the age of when, there is truth and dare are both there, out there. It's for you to accept both and go ahead with it. Learn to accept the truth that yes, you can, and dare yourself that you can do it. If you can accept those two, then there is really no stopping you.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Parekh.
Yeah. So, you have to distinguish between then and now. So then I would say I would use ABBA's song. If I had to do the same again, I would, my friend Fernando. That is then. But today, when you have more opportunities, obviously, I would, like Arundhati, I've been a salaried employee all my life. I would have been much bolder and tried to do something on my own and get some own business started or investment or whatever it is.
Thank you all the panelists for sharing your insightful thoughts. Ladies and gentlemen, the inaugural edition of Express Awards for Women Entrepreneurs is an initiative of Financial Express and FICCI Ladies organization FLOW, with Ernst & Young as knowledge partner, presenting partner Kotak, supported by partner UN Global Compact Network India. And now we proceed to the much awaited moment, the very first edition of Express Awards for Women Entrepreneurs. The first segment for winners announcement is Rising Business segment. The winners in this segment are selected by Financial Express and FICCI Flow and audited by Ernst & Young. The first category in the Rising Segment Award is Education and Skill Development, and the award goes to Supriya Paul from Josh Talks.
I think, recognition of any kind for the work that you're doing means a lot. But at the time when the last 2 years have been so tough as a business and as an organization, getting this now, especially to kickstart 2022, means a lot. And it's just an acknowledgement of all the work that we've been doing. So I'm very thankful to Financial Express and FICCI Flow for this award.
Congratulations, Supriya. Ladies and gentlemen, our next category in the Rising segment is Fashion and Lifestyle, and the award goes to Akanksha Arora from Tribe Amrapali.
Thank you for making me win. It's great. It's great to win an award as always, because that makes me feel like our efforts have been recognized, and it also gives us, and not only me but my entire team, keeps us motivated and makes us want to work harder to achieve more.
Many congratulations to you, Akanksha. Our next awards is Health and Wellness in the Rising segment, and the winner is Rupal Mehta from Med Marvel Software Solutions Private Limited.
Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity, and we are very, very humbled and honored to receive this award. Particularly from one of the most prestigious Financial Express in association with FICCI and the Women Wing, which is, I believe, one of the oldest Asia-Pacific platform, recognizing more than 8,000 women entrepreneurs and recognizing their exceptional talent. And to be part of such a platform and getting an award means a lot to us. It's going to contribute a lot in our journey. And we look forward to a long-term association with many other exceptional women on this platform.
Congratulations, Rupal. Ladies and gentlemen, our next award category is Media and Entertainment under the Rising segment, and the award goes to DVL Padmapriya from Suno, India.
I'm actually really honored and humbled that we have been recognized for all the hard work that's gone in the last 3 years in building the company, in building Suno India. And this award means a lot to me and my team because it's a recognition of all this hard work. So yeah, I'm extremely grateful and very, very thankful for it. And it's a great way to start the new year.
Congratulations, Priya. We now move on to our next category, which is Social Impact under the Rising segment. And the award goes to Ishita Sharma from Mukkamaar.
I'm very, very honored and to be receiving this award. I'm also very thankful to Financial Express and Fikiflow to think of something like, having awards specifically for women, because we all know that, the internalized bias against recognizing the accomplishments of women is very, very strong, especially in the workplace. Women receive far lesser number of recognitions. They receive far lesser number of promotions. So I think doing this will definitely encourage a lot of women. And of course, it's a huge boost to me as well. So I'm very grateful that this step has been taken.
Many congratulations to you, Ishita. Moving on to our next category, which is Technology under the Rising segment. And the award goes to Jyoti Sudhir from Invent India Innovations.
Thank you very much. I'm extremely honored, delighted, humbled to receive this. This is a big one. And thanks to Indian Express, Fikiflow and Ernst & Young for considering me worthy of this, especially because it is Women in Tech. And I hope such editions of awards keep inspiring many other women to step out of the house and make a mark for themselves. It just reinforces that I, as an entrepreneur, am on the right track. Thanks to the entire Invent India team for helping me reach there.
Congratulations, Jyoti. Well, our next award category is E-commerce under the Rising segment, and the award goes to Pallavi Agarwal from Super Bottoms.
Firstly, I would like to thank Financial Express for this award. It means a lot to us, and especially because when I started out, it was a one-woman team, but today we are a team of mothers, and I think this award is not just for me, but this entire team of amazing women that run the show at Super Bottoms. So thank you so much.
Congratulations, Pallavi. Well, we now move on to our next category, which is Travel and Hospitality, and the winner is Pallavi Agarwal from Go Stops Hospitality Private Limited.
I was pleasantly surprised that Go Stops got the award. We got the award because I think we've been doing this for the last 7 years, and I think there are very few women in the travel and tourism space, and to get recognized for this work meant a lot.
Many congratulations to you, Pallavi. The next segment for winners announcement is Organization segment. The winners in this segment are selected by our eminent jury members. And we move on to our first category, which is Education and Skill Development. And the winner is Divya Gokulnath from Byju's.
An award per se is more an indication that you're going in the right direction. More than anything else, and I think it's also a motivation to so many more women leaders, women in the workforce, that they can also do it, given that many things work out for them. It's not as simple as it looks, but the world is changing and changing for the good. So yes, may this be an indicator to women out there that they can also do it by seeing all of us. And we've also had people whom we've looked up to, like Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, Arundhati Bhattacharya, Indra Nui. So I've grown up looking at all of them. So my hope is that there are people out there who are looking at us and then growing up and believing that they can also do it.
Many congratulations to you, Divya. Very well deserved. Moving on now to our next category, which is Fashion and Lifestyle. And the award goes to none other than Anita Dongre from the House of Anita Dongre.
This award means a lot to me, and this honor is a huge honor, especially because the Indian Express has chosen such an esteemed jury panel. Each member in that jury is a person I admire and usually respect, especially the women on that panel. And I hope with me getting this award, I can inspire the next generation of younger women to achieve their full potential.
Many congratulations to you, Miss Anita. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, we have the category of health and wellness, and the winner is Amira Shah from Metropolis Healthcare.
While women are tremendously intelligent, smart, resourceful, we see them doing this every day in their homes. They don't always have the opportunity, or they've not been given the confidence to get the opportunity to really go out there and build their dreams. And I think by creating, I don't want to say role models, but by creating examples or stories of women who had the opportunity to do that, I think it stands to send a message, and I think it really encourages other women to do the same. So to me, really, that's what it really stands for, and I'm just glad that you guys have taken the stand to do it.
Congratulations to you, Amira. Ladies and gentlemen, our next category is Media and Entertainment, and the award goes to Shraddha Sharma from Your Story Media.
This award means a lot to me, and I can't say how much it means, because it is after 14 years that a media house, a brand like Financial Express from the House of Indian Express, for a brand, everyone in the country has a huge respect, and the jury member, the kind of jury member, we all look up to them, and getting this validation after 14 years is a huge thing. And I want to tell entrepreneurs कि भगवान के घर, मीडिया के घर, entrepreneurship के घर देर है मगर अंधेर नहीं, and this means a lot to me, so thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Congratulations, Shraddha. Our next category now is Social Impact under the Organization segment, and the award goes to Chetna Sinha from Mandeshi Bank.
First of all, I would like to thank the Express Group for recognizing me as a Social Impact Women Entrepreneurs Award, and I would also like to thank or appreciate the honorable juries who considered my work as in a category of the social impact. So I'm thankful very much. But when I heard or got the information and news about this award, I was, what I was thinking in my mind, that today when I am recognized, I see thousands of women who actually started their journey as an entrepreneur, and everybody told them that you will not be able to do that. Today, I am so proud with all of them that myself and this work is being recognized, which otherwise would not have been possible without their courage, without their hard work, and without their empathy and passion.
Moving on to our next category, which is technology, and the winner is Anu Acharya from Map My Genome.
I'm delighted that the Financial Express, which is part of the Indian Express, along with Vicky Flo and Ernst & Young, with a very, very esteemed jury that has awarded me this award for technology. I'm obviously extremely delighted. And I hope that I'll be able to make this award more meaningful to the people of India by being able to provide this technology, and hope to inspire more people, especially women entrepreneurs in this space.
Many congratulations to you, Anu. Moving on to our next category, which is food and beverages, and the award goes to Rajni Bector from Mrs. Bector Food Specialities.
I am very thankful to the jury who has selected me. And it is award is not something which I feel it's very great, but still I've got the honor that really makes a difference. So because when you get some award, you think you have done something good. Person like me who started from the kitchen, and now today I am in such a position, I am really doing so well, and I am exporting to about 65 countries in the world and all, and everywhere we are there. And really, I am very, really, very grateful that we are doing like this for the country and the people around us. That's the main thing. We are doing it.
Many congratulations to you, Mrs. Rajni. The next award is the Vicky Flo Excellence Award, and the participant is a Vicky Flo member. The award goes to Shobna Bhartiya from HT Media Limited.
Well, I'm honored to receive this award because I see it as a recognition in terms of the work that the entire team has put in. It goes without saying that it's been a very trying time for all of us, including our industry, where the product is on a day-to-day basis. One has to make a new product, put it together, So the team rose to the occasion, and therefore I see an award such as this a sort of a validation for the hard work put in by everyone, and it encourages and boosts the morale of everyone. So I would convey to them, and I would like to accept it with gratitude.
Congratulations to you, Ms. Shobna. Ladies and gentlemen, we now come to the next section of the awards ceremony for the achievers who have set high benchmarks for many others to follow. Let's move forward with the special awards of the evening, Legacy Spin-Off, and the award goes to Lavanya Nalli from Nalli Group of Companies.
Thank you for the recognition by Financial Express. It's an honor to be acknowledged by such illustrious jury members. Thank you.
The Newsmaker of the Year, and the award goes to none other than Falguni Nayar from Nykaa.
I wanted to take this opportunity to thank the Financial Express Group as well as FICCI and Ernst & Young, their partners, as well as an eminent jury that they had on this award in terms of recognizing me as a winner of this award. It's an honor and pride to be receiving this award, and I just I'm very, very thankful to both the Express Group as well as each of the jury members, and it's been an honor to receive this.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now delighted to share the most awaited and the most prestigious award of the evening, the Lifetime Achievement Award, and it goes to Anu Aga from Thermax.
I'm very happy to receive this award, especially since I respect the distinguished jury and the organizations that have sponsored this, which are, of course, financialexpress.com, the Indian Express Group, with FICCI Flow. Thank you very much, and I want to thank the jury for having their faith in me.
Congratulations to all our winners, and thank you all for joining us today. Proceeding further towards the highlight of the evening is a conversation between Express or Newsmaker of the Year, Nykaa founder and CEO Falguni Nayar, and Lifetime Achievement Award winner Thermax's former chairperson Anu Aga. Over to you.
Falguni, I want to congratulate you for your brilliant achievement. And I think you shouldn't be in the women's category, but in the open category, because what you have done is really great. What I'd love to know is, how did you manage to be such an outstanding career person? Did you get the right messages in childhood? What was the part your husband played, the family played? I'm asking because when I was young, maybe that's many years ago, I was always told that education is one thing, but getting married and having children is the most important thing for me. So I'd love to know what your childhood was like.
No, thank you very much, Anu. I think I want to just upfront say that you have inspired me a lot. I think I got a chance to meet with you way back, maybe 10, 15 years ago. And I think we touch, you told me your story, and I think you had come to our forum and shared your story. And I think I was really inspired with your inner strength and what you brought to, in spite of, what your family circumstances, what you brought forward to the business. So I think I've always been very inspired by you. And I think I would definitely say that you showed me that inner strength, because I also personally went through a life journey, which was kind of destabilizing with loss of my brother, But yeah, coming to your question about, how I have been able to, what were these traits in the young age, or even with support from my husband, that were important to how I started thinking. So I say it often that, my dad particularly definitely treated me as an equal. And, it was very clear in all his messaging that the boy and a girl were equal in his mind. And he never allowed me to think that there would be any constraint on me as a woman, I think his advice was never like, take it easy, eventually you have to get married, or none of that. Even mom was similar, but I think moms tend to be, but I think dads also have a very profound influence on the girls, So I think I grew up not assuming any any constraints, to what I could do. And I was a person like that when I met Sanjay. So obviously when we we decided to get married, he knew what kind of a person he's getting into, and he used to earlier joke about it that it's better if you're working. But in any case, I have to say that he has always been a true friend and a professional partner, like not a professional partner, but true partner who has been very professional about his approach. And he would never say no to me about work. It was always like, it's your call, what you need to commit to your work. And I think when it came to a judgment about, do I need to go for this presentation or do I need to sit with a sick child? It would always be that, look, if your work is important, you go and things will fall into place, So he never brought his fatherly or husbandly role onto me, saying, how could you do that? And like, we would be entertaining sometimes farewell dinner for someone, one of his bosses, and I suddenly would have to travel to India. I think this is when we were abroad, and he'd taken it on his chin and say, look, don't worry, you go, I'll handle the, entertainment or dinner alone. So I think he's been very, very supportive, and I couldn't have done it without both these important figures in my life,
Wonderful. I think we have two husbands who have many things in common. My husband also encouraged me very much and certainly didn't want me to just sit at home and look after the family. So, yeah.
I think that's a big common thread, yes. But of course, I was many generations after you, so I also benefited by a forward-thinking father. Yeah,
that's right. I sometimes feel that media also assumes that males will take on the mantle. When my son died, the media said Thermax loses his heir apparent. Now, that's very unfair because though I have a daughter and a son, you can't assume it will always be the son who will take it up. It would depend on merit. But I wish media would also not be biased towards men. Do you think there is a bias?
I think society's come a long way from earlier assuming that all the wealth had to go only to the sons to now, the girls getting equal opportunity. And, I think earlier also it was a little bit like, I think it was equal opportunity broadly, but not really. And I think from there, I think today's girls are also very strong. I think as far as my daughter is concerned, obviously she's the next generation. Even if I say a slight statement which she finds male chauvinist, I mean, not male chauvinist, if she finds that it is male, like she says, where is it coming from? Why is this obsession with things going to your son or anything like that? If I just assume that even our houses will go to my son, she's always questioning that. So I think girls also want equal right. And I think we have to live in the new world. And I think I'm really happy for girls to want a life that is equal. I think it's very important.
Falguni, did you have to face everyone has to face problems. I'm not, but as a woman, were there any extra things you had to deal with in the outside world, with bankers, with investors, anyone?
Not really. I have gone on to say many times that I never felt the glass ceiling. I was very fortunate to work in an environment with colleagues or, people who worked for me, people who I work for. They all equally respected, they all went for, they respected each individual. And I don't think they had a women-centric bias. I think I'm one of those who believes that women need to have the strength to lean in and want to do more, and things will fall into place. Very often, I think women are conditioned to feel that if they try to bite too much, they won't be able. Their family life will not be balanced, and there'll be a price to pay, and women can't have it all. And yes, there are circumstances which may not allow any one person, or whether be it man or woman, to have it all. But I think I'm one of those, in fact, now with our customers also feeling that way. We talk about that, women should be given a right to dream. Every woman should be given a right to dream. And I'm so happy with our new data where for the first time, the women's population, the girl population at childbirth is higher than men, And I always...
Only in certain states, not everywhere.
No, I think the latest data shows it's 1022 is to...
No, I don't think, as far as I know, it's not all over India, but in a few states, I think. But I may be wrong.
Yeah, so we should check that. But what I'm saying is we've given them a right to be born, definitely, compared to if I look back in 60s. even in our family, not really in our family, but people we knew around, they would choose to have only boys and, not girls. So I think all of that is now behind us. And I think women have a right to be born, and I would want them to also have an equal right to dream and make a life for themselves.
Absolutely.
I think these are, but I think Anu, even with Meher, I think we both in many ways have felt similar empowerments. Whether from your husband or the way you've empowered Meher, I think it's been similar. And I think in your case, I'm sure even if your son was around, you would have treated both of them as equal. I think the way I know you as a person. So Definitely. It is not because of something that is why it is, but so I think it's been like that even in my family. I think even when I was young, my dad was very fond of my brother, but always, it was like, my opinion mattered, so it was always that which was very important. And even in the family, in the new family with my father-in-law, everywhere, the women's opinion matters. And I think Indian society has been like that. I think in many ways they respect the mothers, they respect the women of the household. I think women need to be bolder to want something for themselves.
Sure.
So, any advice, Anu, you can give me? I would love to learn from you.
No, I don't think so. You have enough wisdom and intelligence to steer your way to higher success. Really.
Thank you very much.
I just feel that external corporate success is very good. But unless we are at peace with ourselves, within ourselves, it's not worth it. And in good relationship with people who matter. And I've seen many men especially sacrifice a lot of their family, their time with the family for their corporate success. And do you think that as a woman, you are able to balance it well?
Yes, definitely. I feel that because I think as a woman, we have that inherent, huge, great commitment to the children. So I think as far as my children go, I feel that I prioritize, in terms of whether my time commitment to help them or my time commitment to just be with them, to be happy. Even simple things like just spending time with them so that I'm happy and they are happy. So I think from time commitment perspective, I think, and also in general, trying to keep the family together, I feel I have not made many compromises. But of course, I don't think I can travel with Sanjay as much as I would like to. I think there are times when you have work commitments, so you're too tired to go out for yet another party. So I think there are some compromises one has to make in life, which happen.
Sure.
So otherwise, by and large, I think I totally agree with you that, winning only on one facet is never a good thing. I think it's very important to be, and also, the joie de vivre. I've also been one of the persons who really wants to enjoy life thoroughly. So whether be it my, children's birthday parties or be it their weddings, I think I really do enjoy spending time on a very diverse set of activities. Yeah. So one has been fortunate on that front. Yeah.
Thank you, Mrs. Falguni and Mrs. Anu Aga. Ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to invite Malu Natarajan, Head of Entrepreneurship Award, FICCI Ladies Organization, to share the thank you note with us.
As they say, all good things come to an end. What an evening it has been, with business legends, role models, and young entrepreneurs coming together to celebrate and promote each other. The Express Award for Women Entrepreneurs is not an event, but a movement that is geared to grow year on year. Women entrepreneurs have been and continue to charter unknown territories fearlessly and are proceeding with great enthusiasm to change the world without recognizing the value that they add to the economy. For a touch of Bollywood, I'm sure a lot of you remember the movie English Winglish. In the class, Shashi is asked about her profession. Unable to define it, she narrates her work profile as making laddus and selling it in the market. The teacher then summarizes her occupation in one word: entrepreneur, a person who does business, an innovator who shapes the economy by infusing wealth with her time and energy. Knowing her new identity, Shashi feels elated and motivated. Shashi is not alone. She's the representative of a plethora of women working worldwide, adding value to the ecosystem and still unaware of the energy that they're creating for the world to prosper. These women need to be recognized and encouraged to reach greater heights. Thank you, Express Group, for initiating this award and for collaborating with Fikiflow. Special thanks to Mr. Anand Goenka, the Executive Director of the Express Group, for giving his full support. Thanks to Ujjwala Singhania, the National President of Fikiflow. Thanks to the jury members, Roshan and his team behind the scenes at Financial Express, Ernst & Young, and to the winners. To all those who applied for the award, each of you have a reason to hold your head high and be proud of what you've achieved. Looking forward to seeing you all again next year. Thank you very much on behalf of Financial Express and Fikiflow.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. This event was an initiative of Financial Express and Fiki Ladies organization Flow. We would not have achieved this without the unstinting support from our partners tonight. We would like to thank our presenting partner Kotak, supported by partner UN Global Compact Network India and knowledge partner Ernst & Young. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Stay safe.